Hey guys, this is LaShaw from Scarlet Moon Creations, and I'm back with a new video. This is my recent reads where I talk about some recent things that I have read. Manga graphic novel edition. So it has been quite some time since I've actually filmed one of these. So long, in fact, that while I know what order I read certain books, I have books that I've just been holding on to because I know I'm not gonna want to edit them in, and we're just gonna go for it. I didn't read these. I'm not telling you about these in any particular order, except the fact that I read them, and that's why this is the graphic novel manga editions. So let us start off with Apothecary Diaries, volumes 10, 11, and 12. I only have 11 here for reasons I don't remember, but continuing this series by Itsuki Nanao Natsu Hyuga with Julie Gonowick as a translator. I've never mentioned the translator's name before, but yeah. And Neko Courage as an illustrator. And in the series, we're following Mao Mao, who is a girl who grew up with a father as an apothecary, and for the concubines, concubines or prostitutes of feudal China. I've been watching the anime recently, and it always has a disclaimer that these are not historical or historically accurate, so I'll just say that too. But anyway, so Mao Mao has some apothecary herbal knowledge, and she gets kidnapped and sold to the palace to be a maid, basically. And while she's there, the children, the babies of the emperor's courtesans, or did I get that backwards? The courtesans are the ones who are like prostitutes, and the concubines are the emperor's ladies. Anyway, one of their children, one of the emperor's just babies, or several of them are getting sick, and she kind of figures it out but doesn't want to draw attention to herself. Unfortunately, one of the eunuchs figures out it's her and kind of gives her a leg up in position so that she will help him in solving certain issues that have been coming up around the inner palace. So I've been enjoying this and the court intrigue and things like that. Volume 10 I gave 4 stars. It was a little more cohesive than the previous 9, and felt like we were getting close to a big mystery of why all these things were happening. With volume 11, we stepped back a little bit. It seems like we kind of pivoted to a tangent storyline, but I think by the end of this, it starts to become clear, at least to me as a reader, why that this is a tangent, not just like what the hell, right? We're coming back around. There's a kind of different mystery going on here, and Mao Mao becomes, more directly under the attention of the emperor and the dowager empress, or the dowager. So the thing is, Mao Mao doesn't want to know the details of people's relationships and whatnot, because she's like, I am from the lower class, and knowing too much can get me in trouble, but also give me more work. And I completely understand that. So we don't know a lot, even though the series is not necessarily from her point of view. I think this one would be 4.5 stars, and then there was volume 12. She winds up helping a little bit with more things happening around the inner palace. We get a little bit of a spooky story going on, which she's skeptical about, and also she gets to see more of what Jinshi's day-to-day is like, or some of the stuff he's involved in, and she's starting to get suspicious about who he is and what position he really holds, because again, she's never asked. So it's funny, but there is a little bit of a tense moment between them in a kind of romantic, sensual way. So that's never happened. Definitely gave that one 5 stars, even though the stories were like disparate from each other. Next up, we have issues 10, 11, and 12 of SpyxFamily. So I'm officially caught up to all of the printed and translated volumes of this manga, which we're following a spy whose latest mission is to infiltrate a school to get in close with a man who might be selling secrets to another country who is adversarial to their own. In order to infiltrate this school, he has to create a fake family. So he adopts a young girl who, unbeknownst to him, also has psychic powers from an orphanage. And then, because, to get into the school, to enroll the child into the school, you have to be from a prestigious and conservative, it seems, very family valued family. Ergo, they have to be a complete unit, and he needs a wife and she needs a mother. So he hires a young lady who works for the government in a secretarial position, not knowing that she is an assassin as well. So she doesn't know he's a spy or that the child has psychic powers. Either the child knows that mom is an assassin and dad is a spy, but she's young, so doesn't quite fully understand. And this series just is so heartwarming, but also hilarious. In volume 10, we get some background on Lloyd, our spy, Twilight's childhood, and started to make some unexpected new connections. Thanks to that, and I really enjoyed the bonus chapter in the back of this. Generally, I gave it a 4 stars because it's one of those issues where each chapter is a little disconnected. Volume, I keep picking up the wrong one. Volume 11, I gave 3.5 stars. Definitely disconnected chapters. Though it started to have a little longer plot over 2 chapters towards the end. It was interesting. We get more behind secondary characters here. These are 2 kids that go to Anya, the little girl's school. So interesting. And then in volume 12, I'm gonna give this 4 stars again. We see the aftermath of the hijacking attempt in the previous volume. Didn't go into that, but it was very interesting. Anya was very surprising. But in here, yeah, we see the aftermath of that, and Anya attempting to use that as like a springboard to become friends with the target's son again. And then Lloyd helping his team and the government try to figure out who's the spy who has infiltrated their agency and therefore a traitor. So things are picking up. We got some interesting background also on his handler as well. So I enjoyed that very much. Let me know if you are reading or watching SpyxFamily and or Apothecary Diaries, and what do you think of those? Okay, so the next two I'm going to talk about are the January and February picks for the realm of Kidlit comics. What are we calling this? It's a comic and graphic novels book club by Ashley, realm of Kidlit Comics, and Bree of Locked Booktition. So the January pick for 2025 was Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. This is by Patrick Horvath, Hassan Otsmane El How. Is the lettering. Writing and illustration is by Patrick. This is not for children. I just want to say. I enjoyed this. I gave it 4 stars. I'll put a link to both live shows below. But yeah, this is like Dexter with animals. Dexter, the TV show, where he's a serial killer. Yes, that. It was interesting having a female or feminine female presenting serial killer. We don't really get that a lot. I mean, I do watch Criminal Minds, so it happens. Probably there more than elsewhere. Any other show where we're talking about serial killers in fiction? The conversations, all of the characters are animals, and so like the conversations between them, it's like very anthropomorphized. They live like humans do, except when there's actual animals, which is like a little bit of a ha moment. Like, this is ridiculous, we know, but still. The talking about like conserving the animals' natural instincts, the idea of that when we're talking about, anthropomorphized animal, and it brings a whole new thought process to that, and a lot of self-reflection was in this, which was pretty cool. But I feel overall it just went by too quick. That's why not a 5 stars. But overall enjoyable. What is this about? Basically, your local serial killer Samantha has one rule: don't murder the locals. She goes away and does her serial killing, but then people start being killed in her little small town. And she's trying to figure out who it is, and then the small town sheriff starts getting suspicious of her. It wound up being, but it does go there. It gets pretty dark as well, so not for kids. The art style is great. I'm like, I want to show you something. Like, from the animals themselves to, where are we going? There we go. To the not so great looking body parts. Killing. Oh, here we go. Like, and the body parts, the insides of the bodies, and all of that stuff. Like, look at how the brain is drawn, like as it's been bisected. It's fascinating. And honestly, I think I kind of want to read this again, knowing what I know. 'Twas good, and highly recommend. Last for this video was the February pick for the same book club, New Masters by Shobo and Shoff. This is West African inspired. Shobo Coker and Shoff Coker. Shobo's the writer, Shoff is the artist. This is under Image Comics. Very Nigerian influence, but not just Nigeria. This is like a sci-fi futuristic African futurism, maybe. The Eye of Orunmila. Oh, Jesus Christ. Orunmila. A motley crew of outcasts finds themselves caught up in a deadly power struggle for control of an ancient artifact of immense power. The striking sci-fi love letter to the African continent whisks you from the neon-drenched megalopolis Echo City, Nigeria, to the sun-kissed estuaries of Niger Delta. This kind of just drops you in the world and the story, and you're like, who is this? What's going on? What? I didn't mind that so much. Some of the other people who read this were like, what? I feel like it goes pretty fast. The artwork is pretty great. Also very stereotypical of modern comic styles. I don't know that I could say it's very West African, like the style, but what do I know? What do I know really? To give you an example, so that I very much enjoyed the art style. For the story, the plot, it wraps up very nicely. I think that there's some character work at the end. I like the themes of like new versus old, and then I guess kind of capitalism versus community, and not just new versus old, but also like youth versus elders. And I don't necessarily mean the elderly, just older people. So like parents versus their children kind of thing. How they think of things, how they see, and also I guess parenting styles and how you want to protect your kids, and what you're willing to do that, to keep them protected, and how much you let them know versus not know, be aware of what's going on, and how much freedom you allow them to make their own choices, and what you think, even your own choices, how you see them, whether they're right or wrong, for the best in the long run, given that you're trying to protect your children. You don't realize that is a theme until the end, really. I mean, I wouldn't, but yeah. We're in this sort of futuristic Africa, and there's a lot of buying and selling of commodities, even things like water, and of course, energy is still a commodity and being sold and kept from people who need it just to survive, because they don't have the money to pay. It's very interesting. The whole like supply and demand, and also where demand is manufactured. Also, I forgot. I just remembered. There's kind of like an othering the theme of othering, because like it's like they try to. It seems like the overarching government, which is not really in here, like the real higher ups, but how they try. It seems like there's this idea they try to focus the regular people's eyes on. Oh, the enemies are from the outside, and we need resources to protect you from these enemies, not from Earth or from our planet, or and this is the way to do it. But then there's still like untrustworthiness between cities and regions and things like that. So, like I said, very fascinating. Honestly, I'll give this one a 4-star as well, just because I quite enjoyed it. I didn't mind being dropped in the middle. I feel like it's like you'll supposed to figure it out later, like that's on purpose. So, and the dialogue all made sense, and the placement of them, same with the panels. So yeah, 4 stars. Not like, oh my god, but a solid, good read, and I'm glad I read it. So yes, that is the last of the comics and graphic novels I'll be talking about in this recent read. Like this video if you like this, subscribe if you're new, hit the notification bell so you know when the next video is coming, hopefully more. The links in the description to everything I've mentioned, and a link to 10% off discount code in my Etsy shop. Or a link to my Etsy shop is there. There's also a 10% off discount code, which you just have to input. This is for you guys. And I make all natural bath and body products for magical and mundane purposes. There's also a link to my Patreon where I have ad-free videos, early access, as well as exclusive content and various tier levels. You can also just follow me for free if you want updates on my shop and what's coming up on YouTube. So go check out the link to Patreon. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.